Welcome to Emotional Dramas, where every story reminds you that you are stronger than your struggles. Today, I invite you to sit with me for a while, to learn, to breathe, to heal, and rediscover the love you deserve. In today's video, I will be sharing with you emotional barriers to effective communication. Communication is the lifeline of human interaction. It allows us to express our thoughts, needs, and emotions. However, effective communication isn't always easy. Many times, we find ourselves misunderstood or unable to convey what we truly feel. One of the most invisible yet impactful reasons for this breakdown is emotional barriers. Emotional barriers to communication are internal psychological obstacles that hinder our ability to send or receive messages accurately. These barriers can distort our perceptions, cause misinterpretations, and even shut down communication altogether. Let us explore this complex subject by understanding what these emotional barriers are, how they develop, their effects, and ways to overcome them. What are emotional barriers? Emotional barriers are mental blocks created by our feelings that affect the way we interpret and respond to communication. These feelings can stem from personal insecurities, past experiences, trauma, anxiety, or emotional overload. Imagine trying to talk to someone about a sensitive topic, but fear of judgment holds you back. Or consider how hard it can be to listen objectively when you're angry or hurt. These are emotional barriers at play. Common emotional states that lead to such barriers include fear, anger, guilt, shame, low self-esteem, insecurity, anxiety, and emotional trauma. Each of these emotions can block the path to open, honest, and effective communication in the following ways. 1. Fear as a barrier. Fear is one of the most dominant emotional barriers. It could be fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being misunderstood, or even fear of being vulnerable. An example is when a teenage girl wants to tell her parents about being bullied in school. But she's afraid they'll either get angry or not believe her. That fear silences her voice and prolongs her suffering. When fear exists, it becomes difficult to communicate with openness and honesty. People tend to withhold information or avoid conversations entirely. 2. The barriers of anger and resentment. Anger clouds judgment. When we're angry, we often react rather than respond. The ability to listen and empathize diminishes. An example is when a husband and wife argue frequently. And whenever one tries to explain their feelings, the other lashes out, interrupting or blaming. Anger erects a wall between them, preventing reconciliation or understanding. If anger isn't managed, it turns every conversation into a battlefield. 3. The barriers of low self-esteem and insecurity. People who doubt their worth or fear they aren't good enough often struggle to express themselves. They second-guess their words and may choose silence over self-expression. An example is when an employee with great ideas stays quiet during meetings, worried others will think they're stupid. This not only affects their performance but also limits the team's growth. Insecurity can make people feel their voice doesn't matter, pushing them into passive or avoidant behavior. 4. The barriers of guilt and shame. These two emotions can create profound silence. Guilt makes people feel they don't have the right to speak, while shame convinces them they are unworthy. An example is when, for instance, a man who cheated in the past might find it difficult to be emotionally present to bond well with his spouse for fear of not being trusted anymore. The weight of past mistakes prevents him from fully engaging, fearing judgment, suspicion, or accusations. Guilt and shame are heavy emotions that choke open communication. 5. Emotional trauma. Trauma leaves invisible scars. People who have suffered emotional, physical, or psychological trauma often have a hard time opening up. An example of this is when a child who grew up with emotionally unavailable parents may struggle in adult relationships, fearing closeness or abandonment. These individuals often retreat emotionally, which makes vulnerability and trust difficult. 6. Anxiety and overthinking. People with anxiety tend to overanalyze every interaction. They might replay conversations in their head, worry about what they said, or fear what the other person thinks of them. An example of this is when a student avoids asking questions in class, not because they don't want to learn, but because they worry their question might seem dumb. Anxiety stifles curiosity, spontaneity, and authenticity. The impact of emotional barriers or the consequences of emotional barriers can be deep and long-lasting, and they are: broken relationships, workplace misunderstandings, unresolved conflicts, emotional isolation, mental health issues, etc. Communication isn't just about words. It's about connection. Emotional barriers, if unaddressed, erode that connection over time. Fortunately, emotional barriers can be understood, managed, and even dismantled. Here's how to overcome emotional barriers. 1. Self-awareness. Recognizing your emotional state is the first step. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? Is this feeling based on the present or past? 2. Emotional regulation. Practice calming techniques, deep breathing, journaling, meditation, or mindfulness. Learn to respond rather than react. 3. Building trust. Safe spaces are vital for communication. When people feel judged, they shut down. Creating a non-judgmental, supportive environment invites honesty or openness. 4. Active listening. This is the art of truly hearing without interrupting or forming your next response. It shows respect and encourages others to share. 5. Therapy and counseling. Professional help can be crucial for deep emotional wounds. Therapists provide tools to process trauma, manage anxiety, and rebuild emotional resilience. 6. Expressing vulnerability. Start small. Share your thoughts, even if they feel messy. Authenticity builds stronger connections. Let's consider the following. Case studies. Case study 1. The workplace conflict. Jane and her manager constantly misunderstand each other. Jane feels undervalued, but never expresses it. Her manager thinks she's disengaged. In truth, past experiences with critical bosses created fear in Jane. A mediated conversation where both sides express their emotions honestly changed the dynamic. Case study 2. Relationship breakdown. Samuel and Mira had drifted apart emotionally. Mira felt Samuel never listened. Samuel felt Mira criticized him constantly. Couples counseling revealed underlying emotions. Mira feared abandonment, and Samuel feared inadequacy. Naming their emotional barriers was the first step toward healing. From all I've shared, I would conclude that emotional barriers to communication are invisible walls built from fear, pain, and past experiences. Though they can feel overwhelming, these walls aren't indestructible. With effort, empathy, and courage, we can break through them and build stronger, deeper connections with those around us. Good communication starts with emotional honesty, with ourselves and with others. Let's strive to not just speak, but to truly connect. What do you think, or what has been your experience about emotional barriers to communication? Do well to leave us a comment in the comment section, so others can also learn from your own experience. Thank you for spending this time with me. I also healed, and you will too. But remember, healing isn't a race, it's a journey. And every step you take is a victory. Do give us a like, and also share if someone needs to hear this. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and also hit the notification bell for more contents from Emotional Dramas. Thank you for your support.